Like to say good evening. Um, no, it's been a while, probably about a week or so, but it's good to be back dealing with some classes. This evening, we'll be looking at something called the death penalty used unjustly today. Um, I wanted to look at that because sometimes I hear a lot of different
Thank you.
events that happen with different crimes and stuff that take place around the world. Specifically speaking today, America, different murders and killings that happen, and so what usually take usually the result of that is um, the person will be found guilty for murder, whatever the case is, and go to jail and stuff like that, or end up being sentenced to death. And it's I guess it's gratification for the family who happen to lose a loved one in a sense, but at the same time, it doesn't bring the person back that happened to lose his life. And the reason I want to look at that because the death penalty is a law that's out. I mean, it's a repercussion that's out. Um, for murder. Whether it be electric chair, lethal injection. It's a way, I guess, in a sense, to repay the person for what he's done wrong, as far as murder is concerned, or killing someone. But, and I just want to make sure, we understand that I'm not, discounting the feelings of anybody who might have went through this, lost a loved one to murder, something like that, or crime. I'm not discounting the feeling or whatever the outcome was as far as the court system is concerned. I'm not making light of that because, me being a man, I would want some justice done also. But like I say, you can't bring the person back to life. And when you look at America and how it was set up, I guess the founding fathers uh, of America set the United States up based on the commandments. And if they say this is a Christian country, then what should be the case when it comes to uh, passing out penalties? It should be just all the way across the board because not only do you have the death penalty for murder, you have the death penalty for different things outside of murder, such as adultery, um, uh, homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to those things right there, it's like the world just gives a pass. So that's the point of me doing this, just to point out how the death penalty is being used in an unjust fashion today. And these, sometimes things that just cross my mind because if we say that we believe in God, if we say that we're Christians and stuff like that, then we should be able to let God deal with the situation, period. Whatever the outcome is going to be, if the person gets off, and you chapter 32, verse 35. Now I want to read something right quick. And that's in the Bible also, just like the death penalty, that's in the Bible. But notice what the Lord is saying here. I was trying to see if I could find something else to go along with it, but I'll just read this one. I'm looking for the vengeance is mine. There it is. Romans 12:19. All right, so yeah, we'll go there next. Romans 12:19. All right, so Deuteronomy 32:35 says, "To me belong vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste." All right, so in other words, you have to be confident in God recompensing someone for whatever wrong they did. But we have a system that's set up where we have like almost an immediate gratification. It's not really uh, just or nothing like that, because if you kill somebody for murdering somebody, then you should also kill the adulterer. You should also kill the homosexual. You know what I'm saying? You should also kill the disrespectful child. You see, so that's why I titled this "The Death Penalty Used Unjustly Today," because it's only used for when somebody murders somebody. And like I said, I'm not making light of the situation, because if somebody did, some friends of the family, I'm quite sure I would want that immediate justice. But at the same time, that don't make it just though. That's just me thinking as a man. Romans chapter 12, verse 19 says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath." So in other words, instead of you uh, taking it into your own hands, trying to deal with it, just let God do it. Rather give place unto wrath. Yeah, we know somebody might have been taken, and it hurts. Probably hurts real bad, because there's nothing good about death, nothing pleasant about death. However, though, this is the Christian mindset. We say we believe in God. Notice what he said. He said, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves." And like I say, when they pass out the death penalty here in America, that's like an immediate gratification, but it still doesn't bring the person that was killed back to life. So is that really just? Because we're still uh, ignoring all the other things that are done wrong. So if this country was set up by the laws of God, then it has to be, uh, equal all the way across the board. But the Lord is telling you, like we saw in Deuteronomy 32, he said, vengeance is mine. Well, like you're saying in Romans 12 here, because this is taking you back to what we just read, where it says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written." So taking you back to Deuteronomy 32, "And vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." So you don't really see anybody like pushing that in the courthouse, like telling the judge, "Don't worry about it." I mean, you may have a few people that have the mindset and understand, listen, we can't bring our loved one back. But most people want the death penalty for someone that was killed close to them. So all this stuff is just thrown out the window. But we're going to look at some things to show you that should be included to make it equal all the way across the board. And also showing that this system that we have set up, it was set up by God. But when you look at man don't really do things according to God and how he has things set up the proper way. They pick and choose, and even God gonna tell you that. So let's go to Genesis chapter 9. We're gonna pick this up at verse 1. This is after the flood. And this is chapter 9. We're gonna pick this up at verse 1. And it says, "And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that move upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that live shall be for meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things." So now that death is on the table after the flood. Once the Lord flooded the whole earth, and Noah's and his sons, his son's gonna repopulate this whole earth. But now we have death on the table, and hey, death gonna be brought about by animals. Death gonna be brought about by man, but it's gonna be death all across the table now, across the board. So he says, every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you. So that implies that we wasn't killing and eating animals, before the flood took place. So, because now he's telling you every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you. Even as a green herb have I given you all things. So in addition to eating herbs and the fruit of the trees and all that type of stuff, now you can eat animals. And we know which ones we can eat because he give you the clean ones that he permits us to eat. So we don't even have to bring that up here. But he say, but flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. So you can't be eating raw steak or you know, medium well. Cook it all the way. He said, but the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat, and surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. So, this is why you have some animals attacking mankind, and likewise you have man killing animals. But it don't just stop right there. Pay attention to what he said. And he said, and at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. So now we killing each other. Sin is on the table. Now the sin is here. Hey, death is coming. It's almost like God got a population control plan set up. I ain't saying that's what it is, but we talk about the New World Order and how they trying to keep the population down to 5 million based on the Georgia Guidestones. But hey, God already had a plan set up. He said, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso shed man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. So just pay attention to that, right? Whosoever shed man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, right? All right, so now let's go over to Exodus chapter 21. We're just going to look at it a little bit more clear. Exodus chapter 21. Exodus 21, and we're going to pick this up at, let's see here. Exodus 21, and we're going to start this at verse 22. If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. So if a man get into a fight, he mess around and hurt his girl or whatever, so that he end up killing the child that's in her belly because she's pregnant, yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him. He shall pay as the judges determine. So this husband, he has the power to determine what type of punishment, but no death, because ain't no mischief follow, right? But notice what he's saying, verse 23. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life. So you mess around and kill that person, kill that baby, or you took a life. So your life is now required. You see, and like I say, when you look at most systems across the whole world, like, they talk about if you look at different countries overseas, if you get caught stealing something, they cut your hand off. They still do this type of stuff. But that goes back to the Bible though. If you look at America, in America, we have certain states that actually don't allow the death penalty. But I just go to show that, well, because some states, they consider it to be inhumane. But you think about it, it's inhumane for you to kill somebody unless it's warranted, like self-defense or something like that. Because that's what the Lord meant when he was saying thou shalt not kill. Like unjustly, you killing somebody, that would be considered murder. That's why when the rich young ruler came to him and asked him what should he do to inherit eternal life, the Lord told him, keep the commandments. And he said, which? And the Lord, ran down to him the commandments. And one of the things, and when I say the commandments, he, was reciting the 10 commandments, some of them. But he said, thou should do no murder. You see, so you murdering somebody, it's just like a killing unwarranted, in other words. All right. So you do that, Here we have it set up in America. They require your life, and that's why you have the death penalty. Lethal injection, electrocution, and stuff like that. But all of it, for the most part, goes back to the Bible. Now, I'm not saying, and if you have everything set up how God set it up, then it's not unjust. But by man taking control of it and picking what he wants to keep and what he doesn't want to keep, that makes it unjust. So it said that she should let him go free for his eyes' sake. But so you do something to somebody, hey, you got the same judgment coming back. And it makes sense. I mean, God is the one giving it. He's giving it to Israel, and it should be good. It's good for the world. But like I say, we pick out this death penalty because it's like an immediate gratification. But you have other things that are immediate also that's not being enforced, which makes the death penalty being used today unjust. Go to Leviticus chapter 20, because just like you see the murderers that are still in existence, you see that stuff still going on. Well, you still see this going on as well. Leviticus chapter 20, and just keep in mind, if this stuff was still in effect today, you wouldn't see you wouldn't see any. The number wouldn't be as bad as it was. I mean, bad as it is, if you had these repercussions. Like adultery wouldn't be high if people knew at the end of the line immediately there was death. You know what I'm saying? Homosexuality wouldn't be running rampant if people knew immediately it's death right there. But people don't know that. They don't really, because that's not pushed. There's no consequence for that. But God is definitely going to make sure he pass out judgment when it's all said and done. Righteous judgment, that is. So Leviticus chapter 20, verse 7, it says, sanctify yourselves therefore and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God. Ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. For everyone that curses his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. So just like somebody murdering somebody, his life is required. What about this person that disrespects his mother or father? Guess what? Immediate death is right there. It said, for everyone that curses his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. He have cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him. So, God has a system set up where he didn't allow no buffoonery, no ignorance, no disrespect. So you can kind of see why today the children are running rampant. Because, first off, you have the preacher telling them, I got to keep no law, and they even make the parents feel bad for chastising. And then you have the system get in the way and stop parents from correcting their children. And when you think about it, hey, the Bible lets you know if you beat him, he ain't gonna die, but it's called a rod of correction. You chastising that child, you spanking him. Hey, it's not gonna hurt him. It's gonna keep him from getting out of line. But when you have all these different these different things set up to encourage disobedience and disrespect, then it's just gonna get worse. And that's that's the time we're living in now, because there's no repercussions. But God has set something up outside of just murdering somebody. He got something set up for disrespectful children. For everyone that curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He have cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him. And the man that commit adultery with another man's wife, even he that commit adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. So, I mean, this here is also on the table. This is on the table also. If a man is married to a woman, another man happened to lay with her, then there is a death penalty for that. But you don't see nobody running to the courthouse, to get justice for adultery. As a matter of fact, if a man could possibly be charged for murder if he murdered someone for sleeping with his wife, and they look at him as if he crazy and nuts for taking up for his property, I should say, because that's his wife, and nobody has no business being with her. But actually, you know, she's supposed to get put to death, and the man that slept with is supposed to be put to death. But that's why I just wanted to point this out, because we use it. America uses the death penalty, but it's not just. It's like we pick and use. We pick and choose when we want to serve God. We pick and choose when we want to use His laws and stuff like that. Any other time we don't use it, but when it comes to, like I said, immediate gratification, we'll impose the death penalty. So read verse 10 again, and we're gonna go over to John chapter 8. He said, "The man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress," that's the man and the woman, "shall surely be put to death." Now let's go look at John chapter 8. Let's see what happened when Jesus came on the scene. John chapter 8. And these Pharisees always trying to trick Jesus and trying to catch him up, because they was looking for a reason to kill him. So let's see how to bring this woman before Jesus, trying to see what his response is going to be, right? So John 8 verse 1 says, Jesus went into the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. She was right. She's called the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? So what we just read, about the adulterer and the adulteress, right? And adulteress, both of them, not just her, right? So we got this woman there. The man should be there also, right? Because he said, this is what they said. They said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. But somebody's missing. It says, now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. So, they're just trying to catch him up, trying to see if he's going to go against what Moses said. Because they was trying to do anything they could to kill Jesus. But pay attention to what Jesus did. Was down as though he heard them not. So he's like he wasn't paying no attention, because he knew what they was about. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. And he again stooped down and wrote on the ground. But is Jesus went against what Moses said. But the first problem we got here, that we got some unrighteousness going on. Like, how you gonna bring this woman and you gonna quote Moses' law, but you don't bring the man? Because it can't just be her by herself. Like you said, she was caught in the very act, right? So where is the man? So even right there, you see that you have them, trying to use a law unjust, but really trying to get Jesus caught up. But still, hey, Jesus knew. Listen, if y'all gonna do it, if you ain't got no sin, you're going to cast first stone. Because see, it wasn't for them to pass the judgment in the first place. When the Lord set it up, He set Levi up. They would administer. They would administer the priest office and stuff like that. But at the same time, you had righteousness going on, and this stuff was set up to keep sin out of Israel. So now, listen, we done got so far away from that. Even when the Pharisees came to Jesus, He told them, "Okay, he that is without sin, go and hit her with a rock. Let him first cast a stone at her." And what it says in verse 8, it says, and again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. He went back to doing it on the ground. And it says, and they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even unto the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. So none of them were worthy of passing judgment. None of them were worthy of hitting this woman with a rock if she was caught in the very act. So, and I bring that up to say today, none of us today are worthy of taking somebody's life. But you know, hey, they got this set up like that. It's a law of the land. But the point is that it ain't used. It's not being used justly because we miss all these other things. When Jesus had lifted up, he saw no one. He saw none but the woman. He said unto her, "Woman, where are those thine accusers? Have no man condemned thee?" She said, "No man, Lord." And Jesus said unto her, "Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more." So he let off the hook, but he told her, "Listen, I'm not going to condemn you. Go and get out of here, but don't sin no more." So in other words, stop doing what you was doing. So you seeing the grace of God right there. And that's what Jesus came. He came with grace and truth. See, at Moses' law, listen, you had immediate death. But now Jesus, he came with some grace and some truth. You see, so even the murderer, hey, he got an opportunity to repent. But we still, as man, we still taking it in our hand because, like I say, it's just immediate gratification. That's all it is. But you still ain't bringing the dead from the grave. Can you be comfortable and sit back and say, "I'll just let the Lord deal with it"? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Because he the one going to deal with him when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? But based on the crime, you know, us as man, how bad it hurts us is how much repercussion we want to be given out. You know, and that's not just. Because hey, adultery, you supposed to be fighting, you supposed to be pushing for that also. You know, take them to the court. You should have a jury of 12 sitting there. You know, they should be taking the man and woman before the judge and say, "Okay, judge, we caught this man sleeping with this woman, and this woman was married." And the jury should come back guilty, stone both of them, not put him in, not put him in prison for life. No, they're supposed to have immediate death, just like that child or the one that disrespects and curses mother and father. Same thing. They supposed to. Hey, I mean, I'm just giving you. You know, if we do it this way today with somebody committing a murder, you know, killing someone, we take them before the judge. They get their due process in the court system or whatever. Well, hey, it should be the same way with the adultery. The same way with, you know, like I said, a disrespectful child. But go to Leviticus chapter 23, because chapter 20, because somebody else is involved in this. Somebody else is supposed to see immediate death also. Like I said, you know, I'm not making light of anybody's feeling. You lost someone. Like I said, hey, that hurts. You know, but for people in positions to actually, you know, enforce this law, it has to be fair across the board with everything. Leviticus chapter 20, that requires that God had required immediate death. It should be fair across the board if this country is set up on Christianity. And they even used to use the Ten Commandments. Back in the day, you know, I remember coming up in school, you know, we could pray. We would pray in school sometimes. It wasn't a problem. You know, they had 10 Commandments in school and stuff like that. So you see that they were actually using that to set up, you know, their governments and stuff like that, because it was everywhere. They had them at the courthouses and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, when you go to swear, when they swear you in, what are you swearing on? You don't swear it on the Quran. You swear it on the Holy Bible. You see, so, but like I said, it's just unjust what's being done. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13, it said, "If a man also lie with mankind," so we're talking about a man sleeping with another man. "If a man also lie with mankind, as he lied with the woman, both of them have committed an abomination. This sin is worthy of death." He said they've committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood should be upon them. So, back to the murderer, back to the person that killed someone. Guess what? This person that's a homosexual, that's laying up with another man, do you know what his end result's supposed to be? Their end result's supposed to be? They're supposed to be surely put to death. Their blood should be upon them. but it's not being used in the in a fair manner. It's just, death is the only one that's being brought up in the court system. Lethal injection, executions. You see, when people actually go through this process, those are mainly the only cases that are there. Somebody murdered somebody. Somebody might have murdered 5, 6 people. Might have found boys under the house. Like with your Jeffrey Dahmer. I think he got beat up in jail. But other, mass murderers, they would that would be their result. They end up getting the death penalty. Even if you kill one person, it's murder. There's a high probability you sitting on death row. But all these other ones should be included. That's the point. So we just saw that the child that curses mother, father, that's death immediately. The adulterer, that's immediate death. Homosexual, man lying with man like he lied with the woman, that's immediate death also. And you can't be a woman laying with a woman either. God don't like that either. So I don't think you're getting away with it. All right, but go to Jude chapter 1. Jude chapter 1. Because see, you take most people turn a blind eye to it and let people get away with it, but God ain't letting them. God, even at the end of the world, at the end of the Bible, God, and at the end of the world, God is still gonna deal with this behavior and judgment. So if he's waiting all the way to the end of the world and he's going to address this, then evidently it still should be getting addressed in this society, as opposed to just addressing one. Jude chapter 1, verse 5, it says, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believe not. So that's very important for people to understand that once you get coming to the word of God, you start dealing with this truth, that don't mean you're automatically going to get salvation. You see here, he delivered Israel out of captivity, brought them into the wilderness, and he killed them in the wilderness. He killed some of them in the wilderness. So there's a process you have to go through. Once you get the word, you need to finish the process. He said, I'm going to put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believe not. So that's like the Lord providing a way out for you to get out of this bondage of death by his son actually dying. Well, Jesus died for your sins. You ain't got to die, but you dropped the ball after you done found out about the word of God. Now you done you end up getting destroyed when it's all said and done. You put yourself right back up under that bondage. So don't act like it's impossible. It's very possible because, hey, when they came out of Egypt, some didn't believe, he ended up killing them in the wilderness. Verse 6, he says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, talking about Michael and his angels when they fought against Lucifer, or Satan and his angels, this war that was in heaven, Michael ended up beating Satan and his angels. And they got cast out. And that's why it says, and the angels was kept not their first estate, because originally Satan, he come from heaven. He come from the third heaven where the Father and Son reside. But that pride, he got puffed up with pride and he ended up getting kicked out of heaven. So it said the angels was along with other angels. A third of the angels he took with him. So it said the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he had reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So it's going to come a time when the Lord going to judge Satan and his angels also, right? The saints, we're going to be involved in that judgment too. That's why 1 Corinthians 6 tell you that, no, you're not, that we should judge angels. But it says here, he have reserved an everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day, even as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication, and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. So just like the Lord had mercy on the woman that was taken in adultery, right? He even have a mercy on that homosexual. because he's so good that he take you. The Bible take you back to what took place during Sodom and Gomorrah. You had men with men. You had fornication going on, but where you get sodomite from is men sleeping with men. That's what sodomy is about. So I hear some people like they try to go to Ezekiel chapter. I can't remember what it is, Ezekiel, and they say because it says something about the abomination that they were doing. They had a lot of pride. They had gay pride, just like they got now today. But Jude clears it up though. Because I'm telling you, they say they just had pride. They weren't helping people and stuff like that. Listen, you can't get out of what Jude is saying. Jude said, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. But guess what though? He gonna deal with it when he get back. So we don't go around like putting a death penalty on them. Mainly our mindset is just let them be, as long as it don't bother me. I should be, I'm cool with it. But it's in the same category as a murder. We push that. Okay, you took somebody's life. Well, you need to go to you need to be put in death. You need to fall upon the death penalty. But like I say, hey, adulterer, the homosexual, children, or people disrespecting their parents, we saw that also. That's also worthy of the death penalty. But even God is giving them a chance right here because he ain't wholesale just killing homosexuals on the spot. Like he even got an example of what took place in Sodom and Gomorrah, how he didn't like it. But you can change from that. I tell you that in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, around verse 9 and 10, where Paul say, and such were some of you, but not ye are wise. So you don't have to stay in that condition. Just like if you kill somebody, hey, you can ask for forgiveness and change your life. But people don't want to pass. People want, like I said, that they want that judgment or the recompense to be given out, immediately, to satisfy the families. But let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25. We're almost done. Deuteronomy 25. Wasn't nothing long I wanted to look at, but I can take, this right here and make it longer than I should. Deuteronomy 25. Let's pick this up at verse 15. Let's see what the Lord said about these weights. In other words, is how it needs to be balanced out. He said, but thou shalt have verse 15, but thou shalt have a perfect and just weight. A perfect and just measure shall thou have, that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God give thee. But do you see that going on in this society that we live in? It's not just. Because like if you think about how the court system is set up, if you got money, you can buy your way out of prison sentence. If you got a good lawyer, you got some money, hey, he gonna grease that judge's hand. So you can buy your way out of trouble. But if you ain't got no money, then you got to get a public, pretender. He ain't really gonna fight for you. Then you're gonna more likely you're gonna get something more harsh than you should have got dealing with the court system, in the land. But that's not just though. That's why he said, but thou shalt have a perfect and just way. If we gonna use the 10 Commandments, if we gonna use anything out of the Bible to justify the death penalty, then everything needs to be equal across the board. He said, but thou shalt have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure shall thou have, that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God give thee. But hey, he was talking to Israel right here, right? Just like he was talking to Israel when he gave the 10 Commandments, but it was covering everybody. As far as them going into the land, listen, this would benefit them to do things properly. But just like the 10 Commandments did, just like the dietary law. You see, like it tells in Leviticus 24 and 22, one law for all, as well, one law for all, as well as for the stranger. Let me look at it. I'm not gonna butcher that real quick. Leviticus 24 and 22. It says, "You shall have one man of law as well for the stranger as for one of your own country from the Lord your God." So it's good for everybody. Like I said, people use the Bible to and some of the things out of the Bible to set this country up. That's where you get this eye for an eye, two for a two, for a life for a life. It come out the Bible. That's where they get it from. But it's not being used in a righteous manner, though. All right, so let's go look at Proverbs chapter 11. We're almost done. We got two more after this. Proverbs chapter 11. We're going to pick this up at 1. It says, "A false balance is an abomination to the Lord." But so you see you see you see the lady how they got the scales of justice, and then they have the lady in the middle with a blindfold, like it's blind justice, like it's there's no favoritism. You know what I'm saying? The scale's not gonna tip one way or tip the other way, unrighteously, and that's why they got the blindfold on the whatever it is, later up, man. But we know that's bull crap, because you just look at the Hebrews. You think about like some of the drug charges. Some people are actually in jail with life sentences for crack cocaine, which is a watered down version of cocaine. A very watered down version of cocaine, and they got longer sentences than executive white men. Or because cocaine, that was something that's I guess it was almost, they considered like a casual drug. Something that your businessmen would use in corporate America and stuff like that, the higher ups and stuff like that, they would use that. But the penalty for that, which is more potent than crack cocaine, the penalty is less. You're gonna receive a lesser amount of time than you would for crack cocaine. But who mainly dealt with crack cocaine or sells that? The black man. But pay attention to what the Lord is saying. And a lot of this stuff, let me just make sure I do address it. A lot of the stuff that's happening in Israel is because we disobeyed God. But my point is just to show that how it's not being weighed. The justice system is unjust. It says a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. But a just weight is his, like everything to be weighed out even. A just weight is like. All right, so Psalm chapter 82 and verse 2. Psalm chapter 82 and verse 2. We're going to pick this up at verse 1. It says, "God stand in the congregation of the mighty. He judged among the gods," talking about the people. It says, "How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked?" Selah. So, and that's how, like, we, saw some of those different examples with the woman taking an adultery. That was unjust, bringing just a woman. But you still have that going on today. And he said, "How long will you judge unjustly?" And he's, really addressing Israel, but you still see unjust judgment going on today. As far as mankind is concerned, period. He said, "You accept the persons of the wicked." Like, for instance, hey, like I say, somebody do you wrong, you immediately want to get them back. But yet still, we got these homosexuals running around, got TV shows and stuff like that, got gay pride parade all over the country. Nobody says nothing about that. Disrespectful kids, ain't nobody stoning them, putting them to death. You accept the persons of the wicked. Notice what he said. He said, "Defend the poor and fatherless." Like I was saying this past weekend, hey, the poor, they ain't got nobody to defend them. So somebody got to stand up on their behalf. And the fatherless, because if you got a father, hey, that man, he gonna take care of his family. He gonna take care of his children. But hey, if the father's not there or he's dead or something like that, hey, somebody got to look out for him. So he said, what? Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. And what we mainly got going on today, we have more like It's more like a you got the 1%, then you got the 99. 1% is the world's wealthiest people, and the 99% are mainly peasants and servants to the 1%. So he say what? Do justice to the afflicted and needy. But that ain't happening. Like Tupac said, we got to feed the poor. You see that? That don't make sense, right? He said, deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. So not just with Israel, he said all the foundations of the earth are out of course. There's no righteous judgment going on. Who's trying to deliver the poor and needy? Who's trying to rid them out of the hand of the wicked? Yeah, you have some social programs set up to help people and stuff like that. They trying to cut that though, trying to make it hard for you to get EBT. And the reason I bring that up because most people need food to eat. But you have a certain percentage sitting at the top, trying to say, well, you're going to have to, show us every week that you've been trying to get a job. Like, what if I got no car, no gas to get to work? I can't catch the bus. I'm taking care of these kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so many different things in a picture that can, stop you from being able to do that. Show proof for trying to find work. And if you can't do it, you lose out on your main source of eating. But this is the type of world we live in right now. That's why when God comes, listen, he's going to set this thing up on righteousness. But pay attention to what he says. I'm going to read that verse again. He said, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I say ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But pay attention, though. He said, but you're going to die like men and fall like one of the princes. That's what's going to happen to this man. All the foundation of his earth are out of course. Everything is off. Ain't no righteousness going on in the world. That's why we need God to get back here. Jesus to get up back here and set his kingdom up on this earth. Pay attention to what he says in verse 8. He said, arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. So he gonna take all these nations down. He gonna take this whole world and he gonna judge this earth. But the type of judgment that the Lord gonna give, it ain't no unrighteous judgment. It's righteous judgment. Psalm chapter 96, this is the last place. Psalms chapter 96 and verse 9. It says, oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him. Say among the heathen that the Lord reign, because that's what's going to happen. He getting ready to come back and rule. And the world going to know about it. He said, the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. See that? Because listen, if it was judgment going on, it wouldn't be no need to point out the fact that the Lord gonna come back and judge the people righteously. Because this is going on right now. Like I say, hey, the death penalty used unjustly today. Because we missing out on all these other things. And then on top of that, hey, us as men, we covered in sin. But I understand the law of the land. They got things set up. So, like I tell you, Romans 13, the one that bear the sword, he don't bear it in vain. So I would advise, don't put yourself in these situations so you don't have to come up under their law or under the consequences of their law. But it says he shall judge the people righteously, talking about when the Lord get back. He said, let the heavens rejoice and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar and the fullness thereof. Everything gonna be back. Because remember we saw all the foundations of the earth are out of course. When the Lord get back, listen, hey, the heavens gonna rejoice. The earth gonna be glad. The sea gonna roar, the fullness and the fullness thereof. It said, let the field be joyful and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice. Because God is here, man. He said, let the field be joyful and all that therein, that is therein, then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice before the Lord. So hey, these things gonna be celebrating before the Lord. Just give you an analogy of how things gonna be opposite of how they are today. It says, for he come to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness and the people with his truth. So you ain't gonna see, the Lord just using half of the law. He ain't gonna be just using some of it. He's gonna be just using. It ain't like he's gonna be busting out James chapter. I can't remember what chapter it is in James where you have somebody come in with the goodly clothing. You call him up to the front. He ain't gonna be doing that. The Lord, when he get back, he gonna judge this world with righteousness and the people with his truth. As opposed to how it is today. I want to look at one more verse right here. We're gonna close this out. One more verse here. Let me look at something online. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. It just brought something to my mind when I thought about all the seed growing and stuff like that. The seed growing, the trees gonna rejoice before the Lord and stuff like that. But pay attention to what it's doing now. Proverbs chapter 29. Proverbs chapter 29. Because when the Lord get back, he's gonna set everything up. It's gonna be a lot better than what it is now. It's gonna be way better. But pay attention though. It says, Proverbs 29, verse 2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And that's exactly what you got going on, because it ain't no righteous judgment going on for the coming of the Lord. I hope somebody got some understanding in Jesus' name.